Welcome to the monthly tech meet for the Rolls-Royce Owners Club of Southern California. We're holding at my garage here, Ronny's garage. Today we're going to be working on wipers for a 65 Silver Cloud III. Today we're going to work on and try to fix, like I said, Steve's wipers on his Silver Cloud III. I forget which club member sent these out and had these made for the Post 55, but here's a wiring diagram for a Silver Cloud III, which is pretty cool. This is an original that's been reprinted. It has a legend over here, shows all the components with the wires, and they're drawn out basically as they go. You can see right here where they disappear into the harness, they have those little turns. Here's your wiper switch, and here is your wiper motor. And what's kind of cool is it has little lettering designations that show the coloring. So if there are two letters, and it gives you the legend up here, like G and W, that means the main color is green, and then there's a white tracer. And these cars mostly have cloth-covered wiring, which anywhere it's outside of the harness loses its color, which makes it really fun to work on. But I guarantee you, if you were to take the wiring harness out of this car and strip back the tape, the wire inside will look brand new. I've done it before. I restored for a customer years back. I restored a 56 Bentley Continental drop head. Beautiful car. And I took that whole wiring harness out of that car, and each wire I trimmed back into the harness, and I cut it inside the harness, turned it around so the brand new part was outside, butt soldered it and shrink wrapped it so it looked like it had a brand new harness. It won a lot of awards, and he sold it for a lot of money eventually. I don't recommend you do that because that's a lot of work, but that's just to let you know that the colors are inside. And I don't know if anybody wants to look at this real close here. Right here it shows the windscreen wiper motor, where it comes with these silly British bullet. Oh, this has spade connectors, but one's disconnected, of course. But the wiring harness has one set of colors common, and then the wiper motor has its own wires that come out in different colors, of course. So, but it shows it on here, which is kind of cool. And if you go back to the switch on here, if you have a problem with the wiring, when you pull the switch out of the dash, you have to be very careful. We're not going to do that today because I think it works enough for that. Because those spade connectors will come, if you pull it, I got it here. If you pull that switch out, sometimes the wires stay behind. You know, they're not connected. On the switch, it has numbered terminals. So fortunately, if you have a nice wiring diagram, you can put them back on the proper numbers. The terminals are numbered on here. The Silver Cloud III has a 2-speed wiper motor, so it has a slow and a fast. It also has a park function, so when you turn it off with the ignition still on, the wipers have to go back and park down. This one has a nice little rubber stops right there. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to show you what's happening this one. So I'm going to turn it on, and we'll see what happens. One other thing, this wiper switch, when you push it, it should activate the windshield washer. Here's something. Okay, there we go. That's it. That's all she wrote. Hear that? Brrrr. So that, it parked and went back, so it's reversing. That means that most likely the gear is worn out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this apart and show you how that system works. So this says right here on top, this is a DR3 Lucas wiper motor. It has a Lucas part number, 540-71268. It's 12 volt. Oh, it also has another Lucas number here, 75481A. It shows a 65. I'm guessing that's the year. Okay, let's see here.
What's the chassis number?
On this car?
SKP 181.
Are you sure?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. So that would be a 65 model, correct?
Last one.
There you go. Last one? The very last
section,
one?
SKP.
Oh, okay.
423 is the last.
There we go. Here's, somebody mentioned that you're supposed to be able to fix these by just changing the grease, which You know, this grease is not too bad. I've seen it where it's petrified, actually, like glue. Right here, if you guys can see it, there's a wire coming out of the motor here, and there's a little switch here. Okay? That's your park switch. So, right here. See that? That's a park switch. So what happens is when the motor comes around, let me turn it on real quick, and you'll see it slipping. That's where it's slipping. Now when I turn it back to off, watch the motor goes backwards. That's called reversing. So what it does is it switches the polarity on the motor. And then this is the ground for the motor. That's what it does. So it's grounded until this little mechanism comes back and breaks it. Let's see here. I'm gonna disconnect. I don't even think. Yeah, I want to undo this so I can. I don't really think I need. There we go. Whoa, key's on. Turn the key off when you.
That horizontal shaft.
So what happened right there, if you want to see what happened, is I made this have connection again by lifting it. So the ground on the reverse mode connected again, so it wanted to keep going. What's this all about? See, this is interesting. See how this motor's lifting up, or the gear? There should be a circlip on the bottom that stops that. So something's missing here, Steve.
So you're not the first one in there.
Obviously not. That's good thinking there. Okay, there's your gear. And whenever I work on wiper motors and I'm playing around with them, it's always a good idea to pull the arms off. Because if anything gets out of sync, sometimes those arms will want to keep going. And anybody who's taken the time to paint his own car would not like it if his paint was all destroyed. And these slide off fairly easily. They're spring loaded. Once I get it off, I'll show you. There we go. Oh, sorry. But there's a little spring tab here, okay? And it kind of locks on there. There's a spline shaft coming out of there that fits into there, and when you press it on. So what I'm doing, if you can see this is spring loaded, so it stays against the windshield and does its job. I'm just lifting against that to help with that spring loading, and it just pops right off. So.
Are they original wipers?
What do you mean?
Well, is that the original equipment?
It's the original setup, yeah. I'm sure the rubbers are not.
No, they're new.
Not on a 50-something-year-old car. There we go. I'll just lay that right up there. So.
Because you can buy these in CM Moss.
Okay. But it wouldn't be original. Now, there we go. Here's our problem. It's a plastic gear, which is nice, but not really. You can see if you look at it at an angle, you guys, if you want to touch it, you can feel it. It's worn right there.
Oh, yeah, I see.
It's,
Oh, I see.
It's a trough.
but if you notice, it's a little off center. So that means, since there's supposed to be a snap ring that holds this in, so maybe it's jumping up on us. Here is your rack. You think, oh no, look at this. So it's a cable that's wound with a wire. It goes up into these. These are wheel boxes right here. Through some like tubing. And there's a gear on the bottom of that wiper wheel box. So it goes back and forth. The way they make it go back and forth is with this belt crank, obviously. Okay, so as it's going around, it goes in and out. And then in the reverse mode, they do one more thing. I think it's this direction. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So when you go forward, you don't want the wipers coming down and hitting the molding every time they go. So it kicks out and it sweeps like that. So what happens is this mechanism right here, it has like an offset. So in one direction, it's short, and you change direction and watch this section right here. It's gonna, see how it kicked out? Yeah. So that's the park mode. So it pushes a little further so it goes down to those stops. And a real common problem on these, especially the Shadow, is there's a little tang in here, and if it goes over center, it breaks it. So you never get that kick out feature, and you have to either buy a new piece or raise it, fix it, whatever you got to do.
Now, if that's a push-pull, how did you pull it out?
This cable?
Yeah.
Well, this goes back and forth.
Yeah, but how does it pull if you could just pull it right out? Oh, it's when it comes back.
It's hooked to
No,
the...
here at the.
It's not anchored at that, at the far end?
Uh-huh.
The end that connects in there.
Well, it goes through tubing and it goes underneath the gear here, and it goes through another tubing and goes underneath the other gear.
Why is it so long?
But how does it going in and out move the gears? Is it the winding around the outside that does
This
it?
cable right here
That
fits into gears.
That engages.
That engages in gears.
All right.
Okay?
So the whole cable moves.
The cable is what moves it. Yeah, this is called the rack. They call this a wiper rack. Okay?
So if you had not removed the wiper arms, you would not be able to pull that cable out, is that correct?
Well, I could have, but it might have damaged the paint.
Right.
So when you're putting these together, the reason I pull the arms off is I always want to reset where they're at so that they park properly and
So
don't damage.
this just feeds into a shaft that leads it to the gear.
Let me go grab, I got something upstairs. Hang on 1 second, I'll show you. This might be off an old Jaguar. These are the wheel boxes. So, it goes through the tubing, and here's your wheel box. So this cable actually slides back and forth in there. See that?
Well,
It's amazing.
Pretty slick. And you see a lot of other cars, when they have the space, they have big old arms and levers, and they do it that way. This, you can mount something pretty much anywhere you want. In fact, on a lot of the later model, well, I call it later, but the 80s, and even some of the Shadows had them, they had wipers for the headlamps, and they have the same kind of mechanism down there, and it's pretty slick. Real common problem on these things, we can pass that around, but if you feel that shaft, it kind of binds. It's kind of tight.
Yeah.
And what happens is years, even though they got it pretty much covered, years of corrosion and water and rain and whatever, just get in there. And a lot of times I've been able to squirt like Tri-Flow in there and work it and work it and work it. Because it's a little electric motor, it doesn't have a lot of horsepower. So when I get real serious about one that's real slow, then I always start with that. So anyways,